So I'm back from LA and back in the peace and quiet and the beauty. My hair's a bit messy because I was driving with the windows down and Google Maps took me a different way. I guess because it was a bit faster and it was very beautiful. And it was just nice to see all the green and the hills and the trees and the stuff that I couldn't really look at very closely because I was driving. And the ECPR training was really good and the group was great. I learned a lot about facilitating and I learned a bit about the people who are involved in this movement to make ECPR more available. And for me, experiencing that, it just felt very natural, like that's the way things should be. So in my mind, it wasn't this amazing thing because it was just like, well, this is how it should be. Even though it is an amazing thing, it's hard to really say what I'm trying to describe, but after the training, I also felt kind of like I had less hope in a way because this ECPR training isn't cheap and it's sort of beyond my control to get that kind of funding to start that sort of movement. At least it is partly beyond my control, whereas something like going out for a walk is within my control. So I started thinking about that, and I started thinking about how there's no answers really. I keep searching for answers and there are no answers. And even if this is an answer, it's not something that I have complete control over. I can't just go back home and just be like, yeah, we're just going to run a group because it costs money. And I just feel like the recovery movement, even though it's new, it's already old. I want something like a rediscovery and recreation movement. Rediscovering that energy one connected with, rediscovering lost parts of oneself, recreating oneself daily. I just feel the sense of what can I really do? What do I really have the power to do? And so I feel like going through a few of my documents and just editing them and editing out everything that is outside of my direct power. Like if I want to get healthier, I can eat healthier food. That's something I can do. But if I want to have ECPR as a group at home, I don't have the direct power to do it. I thought I did, but they were saying it needs a sponsored agency and blah blah and stuff that I don't have that position to offer. I'm still going to move towards seeing if I can help, if I can do some presentations on ECPR and get people to hopefully pick it up. But I have to also make sure to focus on the things that I do have power to do. I have power to do self-dialogue. I have power to go to Vegas. I have power to start eating healthier and getting some exercise because I really haven't been doing that. Simple things. I feel like finding the dimensions that I want to work through me, not necessarily work on, but what do I want to work through me? And so part of it is thinking back to some of the stuff I talked about myself with, which I don't remember. If I try to just think of it and summarize it, I don't think I could. But perhaps things will come to me. I know laughter is important, and altruism, which I haven't really connected with fully at all. And I guess I feel like there's just not that many people in the world I connect with. My friend who we're going to share brains and get creative, I really connect with him. And I connect with my family because they're my family. And other people for sure. I guess I feel sad that many of us who have been labeled are sort of medicated into mediocrity and medicated into a shorter lifespan. And I find it sad. I find it sad to hear people talking of such simple things and painful things. It's almost like keeping one's life so simple because life has been so painful, and that's just really sad to me. And I don't even want to wait for an ECPR movement for people to be thriving. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm trying to say or what I'm feeling, but I talked today with them about how I'm sort of walking a fine line staying down here in California because I have to take this half a Seroquel to sleep, and I've been taking it longer than I would ever want to just to get to ECPR. So tonight I'm not going to take the half a Seroquel, and I'm going to see if I sleep. I didn't stop and get the Benadryl, and maybe I should have, but I'll take the Seroquel if I can't sleep. But if I can, good. I'm just tired of relying on these medications, and I talked about that, and I'm taking the Hardy Nutritionals. I don't know if it'll work. So it's just, I don't know, and I don't have a lot of energy, and I just don't feel the greatest. And I was thinking that labeled lives matter. People with labels and diagnoses, whether they're correct or not. And then the people trying to help and support them are burning out, and it's all messed up. And when I watched that talk by Matthew Federici, he mentioned too that people can move beyond needing service and needing medication, and that people shouldn't be told that they're going to need this stuff for life. And he also mentioned something interesting that reminds me of exactly what I'm doing with this process of self-dialogue. He said, new dialogues emerge out of new eyes, different perspectives than the traditional perspective. And what I've been talking about is many different perspectives than the traditional perspective, as I've seen from my numerous perspectives. Because part of what happens through map consciousness is the ability to take perspectives and see from many different perspectives. And I think he said new dialogues and new insights. He either said that or I just wrote it down. And he even said crisis defined with a mental health label. So implying that it doesn't necessarily have to be defined in that way. And I really feel like people who are advocates yet still connected to the system, they know a lot more, and they're just holding back. They're only saying so much because they know they can only say so much. And they say quite a bit beyond what the system would think, so they're providing valuable insight, but I still think they hold back. So perhaps the more of us who have more context and more perspectives and more of a voice, a stronger voice, then people who are in the position of advocates can actually speak up even more, because there's more evidence. It's the people speaking up are the evidence. That's going to be the biggest evidence. So yeah, I've talked about a lot of different possibilities in these dialogues from the very beginning, talking about creating a respite. I'd love to create a respite where people that get labeled get to help homeless people, because people that get labeled often connect to altruism, and then that way they could help homeless people and be altruistic, and then feel better about themselves and put their newly acquired sensation and orientation in their brain to use, instead of just trying to bend it back to the old egoic way of being. And then when that starts to happen, it starts to get bent back, a person seems even more egoic because they're not liking this shift back from the way that they were growing. So those are like dream size projects that, again, I don't have the power to carry out on my own. And then there's things like I'm going to create something just to remind myself of what is within my control and what can I move towards in terms of being superhuman, to be able to help people with their magic. I don't want to help people with mental illness. I want to bring about this totally different dimension in the human mind, this other category. It's a category beyond categorization. And I haven't been in touch with it for a long time, except for the scary aspects of it, and I want to reinvite it into my life. But I feel like I need to be prepared to live that energy, live with that energy, live as it,